When it comes to making adjustments, the pen tablet really shines. And that's because we can paint those adjustments into our photographs exactly where we want using the different levels of pressure sensitivity. Whereas with a mouse, you're stuck with just one level. With the pen tablet, we have multiple levels of pressure sensitivity, so we can adjust exactly how much we want, exactly where we want it. For example, here's a photograph that I shot in New York City, and you can see that the exposure was set for the skyline. And it looks great because of the nice dusk lighting. The only problem is, down here it's a little bit shadowy, and you can see this horse and cart is very dark. So what we want to do is brighten this up without losing the impact in the rest of the skyline. So we can easily do that by applying an adjustment, masking it out, and then painting it on exactly as we want. Let's do that right now. In Photoshop CS4, you'll notice we have this new adjustments panel. Yes, we can add an adjustment layer just by going down here like we always have, but now we can go into this panel here and choose the type of adjustment we want from the panel. It gives us more options. We're going to choose a curve right now just by clicking on the curve, and you'll notice something new. In the past, we had this dialog box would pop up. Now we have this nice modal panel. And the major advantage of that is that we have access to all the different tools and all the different filters and everything while we're working inside this panel here. In the past, you would have to make your adjustment, close out the dialog box, and then apply a filter or use another tool, and then go back and readjust it. Whereas now we have a lot more flexibility. There's another great feature too with the curves here. Rather than trying to figure out how to use curves, all we need to do now is just click this little option here, and now we can move into our photograph and we can start to make some adjustments. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to just tap and then just pull up to brighten up those areas. Let's do that with the whites. We'll brighten them up, but don't blow them out like that. Bring them back just a little bit so you can still see some detail. Let's open up in here. Now notice it's starting to get a little bit washed out, so you want to find some of those areas of shadow and then just pull those back just so we've got some blacks in there. And you can see we've got this nice adjustment there. So now this is opened up and we can see the detail. Of course, the rest of the photograph, if we hide this adjustment, you can see that it's brightening that up too much. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually fill this with black, and then we're going to paint on our adjustment. So let's grab our adjustment layer there. And since it's white by default, and what does white do? White has no effect. Think of it as a transparent mask. But then when we fill it with black, what it does is it blocks out everything on this adjustment. So let's fill it with black. An easy way to do that is just to invert it. So we're just going to hit Command-I, and that would be Control-I on Windows. And notice that it inverts it, fills the mask with black. And now if a black mask, notice the adjustment has no effect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut holes in this mask here with white, and it's going to allow us to add our adjustment. So literally, we are going to be painting with our adjustment. So let's grab a brush, and we want to make sure white is selected as our foreground color. Now let's go up to our brushes panel here, and let's look at the different dynamics we want to set. We want to set the other dynamics here. We want to set opacity for pen pressure. So that means that I don't have to apply that adjustment full force everywhere. I can just lightly apply it to certain areas which are already bright. That way we're not going to overexpose parts of our image. So let's just close that down, and now we're going to start painting. Let's move over our cart here, and we're just going to paint with our white. Make sure we grab our mask there, and we just start painting. And notice as we do that, we're applying our adjustment. But there's one thing I want to do here. Let me just undo this. One of the things you want to do is make sure that you choose a soft brush. I like a nice soft edge brush. And another thing I'm going to do too is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. So let's just go around this area for now, and we're just going to work on this. So let's grab our brush, and we're going to drop the size down just a little bit too. And now we're just going to begin to paint. Let's just gently paint the horse because the horse is already bright. It's already white, so we want to just add it, just brighten it up a little bit without blowing it out. And now let's just go over our card. And you may want to just apply a little bit more here because that was kind of dark. And notice as we're painting on these adjustments, we're just completely opening this up right now. And see all that detail just coming through. And let's see our person. We can zoom in on that. Let's just zoom out again. And if we look at this before and after, we can see we've opened up our cart. We've got a little bit of an area around there which is getting a little bit soft. We can clean that up easy enough just by simply going back to the black and just painting back those areas where we went over the edges. There we go, so it doesn't look so fake now. And let's go back to our white again, and there's other areas we could open up. Let's grab a bigger brush here, and we're just going to gently paint on this wall here just to open that up a little bit because it's a bit dark. Maybe in our street there, just to open that up a little bit down the bottom. There we go. So you can see we're able to just paint on those adjustments, and we could even choose certain parts of the image here. Like if we wanted to brighten up the top there, we could brighten that up a little bit. We could do our traffic lights. We could go up in here, we could brighten those up. And you can see now we get to paint with this adjustment, and it's just an incredible amount of control that's just impossible to achieve with a mouse. So let's have a look at this and see what we've done. If we look at it before and after, see how we've showed all this detail. Let me show you the mask. I'm just going to hit the Alt key or the Option key and click, and you can see here these different shades. Where it's white, it's showing this adjustment full strength, and where it's gray, it's just showing it a little bit and not so much, depending on the darkness. Where it's black, there's nothing, and where it's gray, there's a lot applied.